I've been talking about numbers, letters, and words for years now, so I'm not going to take much time to introduce this video. But there are deeper meanings behind everything. And as random as certain things seem, I want to use very specific examples to show that I happen to be a person who cannot stop trying to tell people about this because the patterns continue to point to me, and they have since I was born and before I was even born, at least the date of birth that I have. And that kind of stuff sounds crazy to people. I understand, but I want to show you how simple things like my area code that I've had my whole life and the job number or the store number at the job I just had continues to point at me. And if you've never looked into any other languages or translations of scripture or scroll, then trying to tell you that other languages like Hebrew and Arabic go from right to left, and those symbols not only have numeric value, but if you put those symbols next to each other, you can add them as their numeric value. You can also add them in shape, and they sometimes mean other things, depending on what those symbols combined end up being. So English and the letters we write in our alphabet and our number structures have meaning that most people have never been taught because the people that taught them didn't know this. But this has been happening since before any of us were born. So as random as an area code may seem, this just happens to be the one I have, 814. If you just gave them their letter equivalent, you'd have 8, which is H, 1, which is A, and 4, which is D. So you'd have here, active, dia, or here, active, to and from, had, something that you've had before. You've done this. You've had it, right? If you go with left to right and you use numbers, you can add them together, you can combine them all as one, or you can take their shapes or their numeric values. 814 can be 814. You can also see that there's an 81 there. You can also see that there's a 14 there. So if you used translations going from right to left, and you started with 4, you'd have a D. If you had a 1, you'd have an A. If you just took that 1 and 4 together as a 1 and 4 making 14, you'd have an N. Interesting. If you continue and go to the left and add 8 and 1, that equals 9, which would be an I. Continue and add 1 and 4, you'd have 5, which is E. The only other combination that you could add together that would be unique is 8 and 4, and that would be 12, which is L. If you did it in that order from right to left and went D, A, 1 and 4, 14, N, 8 plus 1, I, 1 plus 4, E, and then around the sides, 8 and 4, 12, L. Daniel. As odd as that may seem, could it possibly be a coincidence? The other thing I want to show you is the store number. And I'm not going to share the whole numbers, but the code to shut off the alarm, the top code to the safe, and the bottom code to the safe. And you had to put these in every morning. I happened to have the job where I opened up and I did the end of day report. As odd as these things sound, man, oh man, these things seem to keep following me specifically. This is why I can't stop talking about it. So think what you want to think of me. But if you listen to the stuff I'm talking about, it's just deeper than most people are ready to look into life. So the next thing, my store number, was 19584. Sure, if you go right across, it's 1A, 9I, 5E, 8H, and 4D. But if you do the thing I did with 814, and you start from the right, and you go 4D, then just go around to the left, A. 9 plus 5, if you added them together, that would be an N. 9 by itself is an I. 5 by itself is an E. 8 would be H, but if you added 8 and 4 together, you'd have an L, 12. Those happen to be right in order, just starting from the 4 at the end. D, 1 in the front, A. 9 and 5 together, N. 9 by itself, I. 5 by itself, E. 8 and 4 together, L. Daniel. And 814 is in there. My name is in there. And then when I go into the store to shut the alarm off, it's 04141. And there's a number I'm leaving out because I don't want you to break into the store. And if you try, I hope you get busted. because there's a lot more that you'd have to do, and it's not worth it. Anyway, the next code, 04122 blank, and that was the top code. There's 041, which is DA, just my initials. Okay, whoopee-doo. And then the bottom one was 09192 blank. I'm going to leave that out too. But 192 happens to be the first three numbers of my social security number. How random could these things be, right? Along with how not only these simple things, I could literally go through everyone and everything in the world and how it adds up in a weird universal way that's deeper than most people are ready to handle. I understand how it's hard for them to fathom, but it's my responsibility to talk about it, because when we die, we don't end. And there's something deeper than most people are ready to handle going on here. If you're ready to handle it and talk about it seriously, I'm more than happy to meet with you or have a conversation on the phone with you. But if you think these things are too hard to believe, then you'll easily be led to follow a world that keeps you under their control forever. And this is the way we break free. This kind of video is only showing you things that pertain to me, and I really don't like talking about myself, but I have to show them because these are reasons why I can't stop trying to explain these things to people. If I stop, more things like this, just the numbers and the names and everything with the people around me, the happenings in the world, and I've given more than enough examples. It's just that we can't get the message out of a person who's not really trying to force their way into people's lives. I'm just telling the truth, and I can help. It's just we've got to simplify our lives more than most people are ready to. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say in this video. I love you guys. Talk to you next time.